How to determine correct exposure. Exposure is a term that really means how much light has been let into the photographic medium, whether it is film or digital image sensor. Most cameras have an automatic exposure feature, so why bother worrying about it? Well, automatic feature or not, your camera can get it wrong sometimes. If overexposure is the problem, the colors will be really light or even white with no fine details showing. If it has been underexposed, it will be really dark. This usually happens when there are elements in the picture that are radically different. There could be in distance or in light shade. For instance, if you're taking a picture of a mountain on a clear sunny day, the mountain could be fine, but that blue sky a long way off shows up so white you'd think it was covered in light cloud. What happened? In setting the correct exposure for the mountain, the sky has been overexposed. Or perhaps you're trying to capture the way sunbeams slant through the trees, but the finished product is mostly shadows, or else the sun's rays did not show up at all. That's because the automatic exposure feature focused on either trees or sunbeams to the detriment of the other. The problem was that there are dark and bright elements in the same photo. In these cases, it might be necessary to adjust the exposure yourself. This will consist of adjusting both shutter speed and lens aperture. Exposure has not only to do with the amount of light on the photographic medium, it also has to do with the length of time it is exposed. Many unusual photographs can be taken by using long exposure techniques. A faster film requires less exposure, with the time controlled by the shutter speed. If the exposure is to be a long one, then a smaller aperture is needed to reduce the amount of light. This is called reciprocity. If you intend to photograph something using a long exposure time, you'll need a tripod on which to rest the camera to prevent movement. A purist would declare that there is no such thing as correct exposure, since using different exposures may have many different and delightful effects on a single scene. But unless you're an expert, it would be wise to leave exposure to the camera. For studio photography, a light meter is needed to ensure your photograph will be properly exposed. The most accurate readings are called compensation reading. To do this, you take a reading from the darkest point, then adjust it by 2 stops. This ensures that there will be proper detail.